What I'm going to work on is this little sunset, and so I'm going to move the camera closer. Why sketch? Number one, it sets you on the right path for figuring out your composition, helping you familiarize yourself. I am using the Prismacolors because I have so many of them still. Prismacolor kind of did away with these, but I've used the Dick Blick. I bought myself a set as well, but I'm just loaded with these. So I'm using Prismacolor, but you can do the same thing with the Dick Blick that I'm giving away. They do have the brush tip. They have a double end as well, just like this. So I'm going to start off with the warm black, and I typically will always start with my foreground. I'm using the brush tip. It's really nice and soft and creative feeling. So I'm going to make this guy just a tad bit higher than that one. And the flat line ground, I don't want to go all dark with it right here. I'll give myself a few little interesting lines that I kind of call sort of calligraphy lines. Or sometimes when I'm teaching in in-person workshops, I call it chicken scratch down in the foreground. But usually I'm working in paint in those classes and just kind of blocking in, giving myself, and I'm going to do this really quick, you guys. I like to do just a tad bit of detail in my little sketches. Now, I'll be honest with you. When I'm in the studio, I dilly-dally around on them a little bit. A plein air, not so much. Excuse me, there's no time. Now I'm just going to let this whole side over here be all dark. Variety. So this guy is all in shadow. Excuse me, shadow. And let's narrow this. You know, perspective-wise, that path has to get a little bit narrow. And I'm going to break this edge up a little bit so it's not so stagnant and straight. That was pure black. I like to set my foreground really dark. The only thing that's going to stay white on this paper is that little sun. Now, I know you're having a hard time seeing stuff here. I just did a basic little design with a little path because that is pretty dark and it's kind of hard to pick it up on the screen. So that was my warm black. I'm going to go to my 60, and that is 60% of warm gray. And there is a mountain. Now, I'm going to tell you that these do dry a little bit lighter than when you put them on. So here we have this front mountain here. I'm going a little bit darker. As I will recede backwards, I'll start going a tad bit lighter. So we just have this nice little hillside. You can't see it, but there is the slightest darkening. Then I'm going to go lighter yet. I'm going to jump into the 40 brush tip, and I am going to do this back mountain. So you can do these pretty darn quick. Now, right now, it might be looking dark. See if I can see. Yeah, on the screen, it's showing a pretty good value change. There we go. Now, I want to be a little bit, what would be the word? I'm a little bit conservative when I start with my clouds, because I don't want to get too dark. I think I will use the 40. There is a little strand of clouds that comes here and it breaks. We lose it in front of the sun because it's so bright. And I am using, let me double check, 40% on this little line of clouds. Design it how you so desire. It gets a little bit wider down here. Remember, I always tell my students this, that you are not married to your photo, all right? You're not married to it, so don't feel like you have to do everything you see. Now, I'm going to be real conservative. I'm going to start this out with 20. This is that next cloud. And one thing I do sometimes is, because I have 20, 40, 60, 80, sometimes I will start something out and I'll go back a second pass with the same value. I don't want this cloud here to get too light. So, but I can hit it one more time. Now, maybe I want the base of this one just a little bit darker. And you know, if you've seen many of my paintings, I just love those little rain squalls. Maybe they're just a little bit of a rain squall coming off of here. I will throw one in. Let's get a little action. We're headed into monsoon season. Let's get a little action. Now, I want to go darker with the big mass. So I'm not going to go 80. That's a little bit bold. But I think I can do 60. And it might look dark to you, but this is an important cloud. Now, again, I don't feel like I'm married to this shape. Sometimes maybe I don't like that pointed shape going off right there. So I maybe rounded it a little bit more. Remember, you're the designer of it. It's your work. And with these markers, you do see your pin marks, but you know, I'm not worried about that. I don't try to do this perfect cross-hatch look, or I'm not into trying to do that. This is really what I like to do when I am going to do a painting, is I want to do this and just sort of set myself up. Maybe I want a little interest on this top edge here. Set myself up before I go into paint, right? Get excited about the scene, understand what's happening, realize, oh, maybe I don't like that bush there, or make compositional changes. There are some clouds that have broken off, some little floaties up there. I'm doing them about in the same value, or not about. I am doing them in the same value. But I think what I'm going to do is come back over here and darken this side a little bit more. So see, this is when you can do a second pass through and get it just a hair darker. If you want to have a little bit of layering or whatever, and you don't have to do it all that dark. Pay attention to your edges on your shapes. So look, that's coming along pretty good, just even right there. Like in looking at that, I'm thinking, sure, yeah, I think I could paint this and enjoy it. So as you come along, now, I don't want this as what I want this sunspot to be the lightest spot, but I don't want the sky to be too dark. So I'm going to take my 20 very carefully. Now this is the 20%, and go around that sunspot so I don't have an accidental stroke that hits it. Now remember, this is going to dry lighter, right? So, and I'm just barely gonna knock this. Like, you can just barely hit this. Well, I got a little heavy when I came down with the tip just then. Made that little mark, but it will lighten up a little bit. It's still lighter than the cloud, right? And the little sunspot is staying light. I'm going to kill that white right there. Maybe I might want a few light spots on the road. So I might leave a few. And I think I'll hit this one more time. Then I'm going to jump up here, and this is all going to go to the 20. I may have to darken that little cloud right there. Let's see. And the sky. Let's get rid of all the white, because I really want just the sunspot to have the white. All right. And in looking at that, I'm thinking I maybe want to darken this bottom a little bit. Let's hit this one more time. I'm using 20. So I started off with 20. I'm just doing another pass, which is going to darken it a little bit more, giving just a little bit of shape to that one cloud, just a little bit. Would there be light bouncing up and reflecting? Yeah, there would be. But I still want to get a little bit of form going. How many values do you like to use? Well, that would be 20, 40, 60, 80, and black. So I use 4 gray shades and 1 black. 20 being my lightest. And in all actuality, I don't even think I put the 80, I don't even think I used the 80 today. So the 80 would be just, you know, a bit lighter than the black, but I really wanted this dark. So I used the 60, I used the black here, and then I jumped to 60 here. Then I jumped to the 40 here, right? I never used 80 today. I guess I didn't need it. The darkest cloud, I've used the 60 on. And, you know, depending on if you wanted to get a little bit darker in different areas, I could hit it maybe, that's 80, maybe one more time. I'll just barely knock a little bit more variation in this over here. And if you have some holidays that you want to cover up, you know, a holiday is like that hole right there. It could be sky showing through, but I don't always like to leave those on these big clouds. That's a holiday, like when you're painting and you're seeing a lot of your canvas. I think I could have done a little bit better job on this drawing right here. I got kind of in a hurry. But I aim to just get this done in 30 minutes. I look at that, squint down. When I'm working on these, I'll squint down because you can see the overall shape a little bit more. And I think, is there something that I maybe want to have just a little bit more design to, or, you know, just tweak it out a little bit. I do like to do that. Clean it up. Now where that went dark, that's going to lighten up a little bit, so that won't stay linear there. This, I sign a lot of my signatures, like on the bottom of this one. These are great for signing it. This is June 20th, Summer Sketch Giveaway, the Grand Canyon, Arizona. But there was nowhere in this scene last month to really use one of these, you know, unless I had tweaked out some little things sticking up over the edge. I just didn't use it. But in this one, I might tweak out just a little bit. Sometimes I like to do this, like maybe I'll just give a few little running lines in the road. Now, I don't want to do it back too far because you wouldn't see some of that small stuff. You know, and I don't know, if you were painting, you know, some trees or bushes, you can do a little bit of stuff. You know, you just keep it close, right? You don't go back too far in the picture plane because then you're having a runaway. And I'm only just showing you that just to see what you can do with those. See if I can zoom that up so you see those little marks. So you can see where I just used the micron pen for some of that. And it works really cool if you are doing like a tree scene and you have some branches, or if you were doing like a barn and maybe you have some little windows or whatever. These pens are great for that. So taking a look at it, something I'm not a fan of really quick is those puzzle pieces up top. Not too crazy over that. So I think what I might do is, I think I'm gonna, oh, let's double check what color you're using. I'm gonna go a little bit lighter. That's a 60. I'm gonna start with the 40. I think composition wise, I don't like this puzzle business. I'm gonna fix this edge, quiet that edge, and I think I'm gonna marry this one. Because I still have 3 elements, big cloud and 2 small pieces. You know, I started with the 3 breakaways, but I just am not a fan of that shape. So why not marry that together a little bit? Maybe not be quite so busy with some of these puzzle pieces. And I think maybe that's a little bit better. And I did that in the lighter color, which it's going to lighten up a little bit as it settles down. And I do think one more, then I'm going to quit. Because I think it's suitable. Gives me an idea. I have painted this scene before, but it would give me an idea. Do I want to paint this? Which I did, and I painted it, and I enjoyed painting it. And you can tweak as much as you want on your sketches. You can go as detailed or as loose. Remember, this is your game. I'm cleaning up some holidays. This is your thing. You make those decisions of what you want to do and put into it. Now this is just the 20. I'm just kind of cleaning up some edges. Little holiday. So I'm just going to fill it in. Even though it's the 20, it will still work to kind of just knock back some of the white. All right, you know the saying, you get to the easel, I see you there.